All right, so in today's Build in Public session, uh, we are going to continue work on the Notes app. And you can see it's a lengthy prompt here, but we're going to add an AI agent to our app, tie it into OpenAI, ChatGPT, where we can give it a URL for a site. It could be an article or whatever we want. And this will read information at the source and then propose notes that we should add into our Notes app based on the source. So we've started the prompt here detailing what we already have. We've set out a goal, basically add AI that will create proposed notes from a source URL. With our idea of we have a right side drawer, basically a place to talk to effectively, say the AI agent. I won't go over every one of these, but I'll hit these larger steps. So we're giving it sort of the outline to choose a source, um, and then to preview the source and ask for instructions from the user, like what are you wanting from this source? What kind of what are you taking notes about? Help it be guided in how it articulates the notes out of the source. And then, of course, proposed notes where we can then check them and say, basically, we do want to add these and uncheck the ones we don't want to add. We cover some backend requirements, kind of just saying like, hey, this is how we ought to break out the API side of it. Maybe the way we want the JSON to be structured. Again, you don't always, well, you never really have to tell Cursor or AI these things about the structure. You can let it decide. But if you have either a programming background or if you have sort of a software product background where you can, where you are somewhat knowledgeable about these things, then you can instruct it and keep a little more control over the structure of those things. So that's what I'm doing here. Source ingestion details, of course, only URLs for right now. We may later look at uploading documents and so on. So it talks a little bit about HTML pages or URLs that go directly to PDFs and URLs that point to Google Docs. So all of those things can be dealt with. Then we talk about open AI integration. So we're going to use their typical API. And it talks a little bit about security through here, making sure not to expose the key, the API key. And then, finally, we get down here to the bottom and we've got the deliverable sort of re-itemized, if you will. So that working drawer on the right-hand side, HTML plus Google Docs support, PDF URL support, proposed notes can be inserted, and then, of course, minimal disruption to the current app. Super important. We don't want it rewriting major sections of it just to, if it all of a sudden decides it could be cleaned up. So I'm going to copy that entire prompt. I'm going to come back in here to cursor. I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to hit enter and let it work. It's asking to install a couple of packages here, which I'm going to let it do that. These are going to be necessary for just some of the requests that we've made. You can see OpenAI there specifically. Now it's writing some JavaScript, AI source service. So it's basically creating another module that will handle all of the requests for these URLs to go out and source it uh, for the AI to be able to read them and interact with them. Installing another module. Now let's write it in code for what we're calling the drawer. So effectively, what we should see is sort of a pane, a window pane on the right-hand side um, of the UI, and we're calling that a drawer. You can see as it makes updates like this, here in this main terminal section at the bottom of the cursor dialog, how the app has crashed, right? Because it's just halfway, it's just partial, got partial updates in there, and all of a sudden it's like I can't make sense of this, so it crashes. And then what we typically see is here in a little bit, as it flushes out the rest of the code, that resumes and comes back up, and the app is active again. So all of that behavior is normal, and as you use cursor more, like this, you'll see that happen regularly. We can see some changes already happening here um, in the interface. See that button there, create notes from source. Of course, this error here, failed to fetch ideas 500. So before this will work, we'll have to go and create an API key for this through OpenAI and plug it into our environment. All right, so it's kind of writing up the notes at the end here. um, that's the manual checklist for us to follow. Some steps that it expects us to do. Here's one of the required ones. We're going to have to go create that API key and plug it in there. Effectively, we'll restart the server so it picks it up. Then down here, it has some manual items we can do to test it. And then down here tells us what files are new and what's been modified, and then some notes at the very end of it here. So I'll create those, and then I'll resume the video and demonstrate it. We've added the API code or API key, for ChatGPT, and there was an error that came up, and I literally just typed in the prompt, please fix the existing error, and it did. So now let's test it out and kind of see what we've got. Let's see. Let me go to Wikipedia. Okay. And English. And let's just search for, we could, honestly, I guess look for anything that's here. Let's look for something like quantum computing. Great. So we'll use this as our article. Copy that. We'll come over here and we'll say we want to create notes from a source. We're going to paste in the source and we're going to load. I'll give it a second here. Great. So you can see here that it tells us the type, the source preview, right? The type is just HTML, quantum computing. Kind of has it all listed out. What kind of notes do you want from this source? I would like a very general one paragraph summary of what quantum computing is for a note, and then another note, again, one paragraph about its origin, and finally another note, brief again, about any notable contributors to quantum computing. Okay. Number of notes says 8. I don't really know that that's what I want. Let's just do 3. That would be the history, summary, and the course contributors. The tone is definitely concise versus detailed. And then we'll have it suggest tags. And although it doesn't really matter, I'm going to fix the spelling on that, and then I hit generate notes. Okay, so it talks about the assumptions up top here. Assumptions used for concise summaries of complex topics. User requires structured notes for a knowledge system. Great. Okay. Questions. Are there any specific contributors, developments the user would like to focus on? Does the user need additional details? So you can see here it does have the 3 notes: overview of quantum computing. It has tagged them. Quantum computing is a type of computation that utilizes quantum mechanics principles such as superposition and entanglement to process information. Unlike classical computers, which operate on bits that represent either 0 or 1, quantum computers use qubits that can exist in multiple states simultaneously, and this allows them to tackle certain types of problems much more efficiently than classical computers, potentially enabling faster computations for complex tasks such as cryptography and physical simulations. Notice here, this is similar. Uh, these are similar between the two of these because talking about Paul Benioff here. I have Richard Feynman, Peter Shore, Love Grover. All right, so Paul's not mentioned down here. Okay, probably, yeah, because this is more talking about the historical aspect specifically. So I think those are pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead. We could regenerate. We could go back, but since they're all good, I'm going to leave them checked. If we didn't want it, we would uncheck it. I'm going to leave it checked, and then I'm going to insert the 3 notes, and look, there they are down there at the bottom. So notice that the drawer popped out when we needed it. It's gone now that we don't, so it's not a persistent eyesore. It's given us a way to point this to any site on the web and scrape it, and we can, again, give it instructions about what we're looking for. And so we'll look in future iterations of this how to enhance the use of the AI assistant.